If you struggle to get that extra little bit of weight out of your pack, today's video is for you. If we haven't met yet, I'm Joey. I am a veteran backpacker, a thru hiker, and I spend my free time when I'm not on the trail working for an outfitter, helping people pick packs and get set up to go camping, hiking, backpacking, and all that fun stuff. I am just 2 weeks away from my Tahoe Rim Trail thru hike, so I'm really excited about that coming up. It's a trail that I've wanted to do for a long time. Even though my gear is really well dialed in, I am looking at making a few changes to items in my pack to accommodate some local regulations that require me to carry things like a bear canister. And I'm going to show you how I go through that process and where I can shave weight and where you might be able to as well. A lot of the gear I've been using for years, and I'm really happy with it, and I covered some of that in one of my prior gear videos. If you want to take a look, you can see that up here. If you're really interested in a full gear list for the Tahoe Rim Trail thru hike, drop me a note down in the comments and let me know. If a lot of people request it, then I will go ahead and do a full gear list video either from the trail or when I get back and let you know how everything that I took performed. Today we're going to focus on cutting the grams. I consider myself a bit of a gram weenie, even though I'm not an ultralighter, because it's really important to me that I not carry more weight than is necessary or more items than are necessary. I want to have my pack weight as low as possible, but still be comfortable when I'm backpacking. And I think as you get older, particularly, you know, that weight carries, and it has the same impact on your body when you're younger, right? You've got more weight on your back, it's more on your knees, more on your ankles, things like that. But it can hurt a lot more as you get older. And I am starting to feel that now at 58, and I just want to be mindful of that. And I also want to just make room in my pack for some luxury things that are going to make either my hiking or my time in camp a little bit more comfortable. So that is why I am going through this exercise of really figuring out where can I save some grams to make room for those things that I am required to carry or need to carry just out of necessity for the conditions on the trail. So let's get into my gear for the Tahoe Rim Trail. As I mentioned, one of the biggest changes to my pack for this trip is a bear canister. I actually have not had to carry one on a trail in the past, and I'm really happy because the Bear Vault, which is one of the most popular canisters, has now come out in 4 different sizes. Years ago, they only offered these in 2 sizes, a small one, which is called the BV450, and a large one called the BV500. These little suckers are not light, and I think just based on customer feedback, they realized that it would be smart to introduce a couple more sizes so that people going out for just a weekend in bear country could take a canister without having to carry a lot of excess weight. And then for people on longer trips, that they'd have some options in terms of do they want 3 or 4 days worth of food for 2 people, things like that. So they now have 4 different sizes. The very small one is called the BV425, and they've actually named these. So instead of just going by the numbers, you can actually go by the name if you'd like. This one is the BV450, which is the mid-size. I actually just purchased this because I didn't have one. I'm also looking at the BV475, which is the medium-large size, and then the BV500 I think is something that I don't need. So I'm in the process of actually choosing which of the 2, the 450 or the 475, is going to be best for me, not just for this hike, but also long-term. I've got all my food packed in here right now, and it seems like it's going to fit, but I'm going to finalize that and also put together a resupply package that I'm going to send to an outfitter along the trail so that all my food is just situated for me, and I can just pick up a few things in town to supplement. One of the nice things about the Tahoe Rim Trail at about 174 miles is that there are 2 main towns that you go through. You can start at Tahoe City, which is where mile 1 begins, but I'm actually starting on the other side of the lake. I'm starting on the east side of the lake at Spooner, and I will hike in to South Lake Tahoe after about 2 days. So I can stop there for food. I can stop at Echo Lake for food, which is a little further on down right before you go into Desolation Wilderness, and then I can stop at Tahoe City, which I've planned. I might take a 0 there and then continue on around the lake. So it's nice that in what's going to be for me about a 2-week hike, I've got more than 3 places that I can stop. There are other towns that are not far from the trail where you can take a hitch for 5 or 6 miles and get food if you want. But I'm going to try to do as much time on the trail as I can and not spend too much time getting to and from town, which is why I want to carry 4 or 5 days worth of food and then pick up another 4 or 5 days of food when I get into Tahoe City. So these canisters, they work great. There's nothing wrong with them except for the weight. This one is 2.1 pounds. So when I have a base weight of about 15 and a half pounds, adding this little guy is pretty significant. However, I had recently switched to an 𝐸 and the 𝐸 is lighter than the food bag. So let me show you. This is the 𝐸. It's made out of a Kevlar type material. It keeps the bears from actually getting in. You hang it on a tree and they can grab it and they can mash your food and that sort of thing. So a lot of areas are going to requiring a hard-sided bear canister that is approved. I'm going to bungle the name of it, the Grizzly Committee. I'll pop it down in there. But those for certain areas are the only type of canisters that are allowed, or ones that have been tested and approved for their resistance against bears. So that is why I'm going to have to carry a bear canister. And the Tahoe Rim Basin actually just changed from being a bear canister in Desolation Wilderness, where you could just rent it and then drop it off on the other side, to requiring the bear canister the whole way around the lake. So I'm going to be carrying that. I won't be carrying my 𝐸. I definitely won't be carrying my little Osprey nylon food bag that I used on the AT. So how do I compensate for that extra 2+ pounds in my pack? First of all, instead of looking at it as 2.1 pounds that I'm adding to my pack, I have to look at the difference between the weight of the 𝐸 that I was already carrying and the Bear Vault. The 𝐸 weighs a little over 8 ounces. That's actually about 1.5 pounds that I'm adding to my pack with the smaller bear canister. It's an incremental difference, but it's still making my pack pretty heavy. Since this is a relatively short through hike, I am actually going to be carrying my travel bag. And for travel, I use a bag from IKEA. It's a duffel. It's also got straps on the back so you can carry it as a backpack. And what I do is unpack my backpack, throw my poles and everything else that I need to check, and I pop it in here. And then that's how I check my bag to make sure that my gear doesn't get damaged as I travel. It's small enough and light enough that I can just fold it up and throw it in the bottom of my pack. It weighs a little over 6 ounces and it's very durable material. I've used this one for probably 4 or 5 different hikes, just to give you an idea how well they last, and they only cost about 10 bucks. If you have any questions about how to fly with your backpack, I did a video on that a little while ago that you can see up here. One more item I'm carrying that's adding weight to my pack is this little gimbal. Sorry, Forrest is having a good time over there. From Insta360. It's got a lot of cool features that helps me create more interesting videos. I don't have a drone and I shoot on my phone, so my options are a little bit limited. But this was something that I felt like was worth the 14-ounce penalty so that I can bring you guys better videos. And it's also kind of fun to play with. So I'm adding this to my pack as well. So if you're keeping track, I've added about 1.5 pounds for the bear canister, 6 ounces for the travel sack, and then 14 ounces for this, which, if I'm calculating properly, I don't know what that adds up to. It's morning. I'm still working on my coffee. So how am I going to make up the difference? And it really comes down to choices that relate to just grams or ounces versus pounds, because I've already taken the pounds out of my pack by doing things like switching from a sleeping bag to a quilt years ago. One way I'm going to save some weight is by not taking a few things that I have taken in the past. This little 𝐸𝐿a cloth is something that I tested when I was on the Pinhoti. It works great for what it's designed to do. However, I still really like using my pee funnel, which for guys is not an issue if you want to pee standing up, right? But for women, and that's a game changer. I really like having that. I've used it for many years and it works great. So I found out that the 𝐸𝐿a cloth for me was just a supplement to the pee funnel. I prefer to be able to just stop on the side of the trail, pee really quickly when I need to go. And if you're hydrating a lot, that happens frequently, right? And I don't want to have to just squat and bare my bottom. So this is just sort of a supplement. It's a nice to have, but not a necessity. So it's going to stay home for this trip. Another item I'm looking at maybe not taking is either my little bandana or my pack towel. The bandana is, sometimes it's on my pack if I've got a runny nose or something like that, but normally I just keep it in my pot and use it kind of as a pot holder when I am cooking and as to, rag to kind of clean up. I can use this for the same purpose and save a few grams. I use this mainly if I'm at a place where I'm showering and they don't have towels. I can use this to dry my whole body pretty quickly, surprisingly. And I also use it in the morning when my tent is really damp from condensation, and I use it to wipe it down. I don't know that the bandana will handle condensation quite as well. It weighs just 26 grams and this one is 20. I'll probably just end up taking this and leaving the trusty bandana at home. After that, I'm really looking at just making switches. I don't have a lot more stuff that I could leave home unless I pare down my toiletries, which I carry in this little bag, and I am going to go through all those things later. But I've really been looking at what are the gear switches I can make. So here's a few of them. And again, these are grams. You might be looking at even, half an ounce, but everything weighs something. And when you start to take these things in total, they add up and make up hopefully at least a pound of items to compensate for that heavy bear canister. So I'm going to switch from a regular Bic lighter to a Bic mini lighter. The Bic mini lighter weighs about half the weight of the regular lighter. For my stove, I've used a pocket rocket for a long time. It's actually kind of starting to show its age, so I've been thinking about replacing this or upgrading it. I don't have the little tiny BRS stove that lots of people like that just weighs practically nothing, but I do have this 𝐂𝐬 super light stove. This one only weighs 60 grams, so I'm going to test this out, make sure that it's working properly because I've had it for I think like 5 or 6 years. Just do a comparison, and if this one is performing as well as I want, then I will take this one and save about half the weight off of this one. For my electronics, I have had to carry just a kind of a snake's nest of things. Because I have an iPhone, I've had a lightning cable, and then I've also had a USB-C cable to charge my power bank when I'm in town. Both of these fit in this great little Anker charger. It's got 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A port, which makes it really flexible, but it's also pretty heavy. These cables go with another cable that I have to use for my Garmin, and this for my inReach actually. This one has a USB a connector on it, which is the old style. These are going out of favor, but that's the Garmin charger that I have because I've got the older inReach, and it's got USB, original USB, not USB-C on this end. So this has been a one-off cable that I've carried only for my inReach. And then again, I've also carried a unit cable for my watch, which has its own little type of connector on it and also a USB-A. So I sat down and I said, well, how can I kind of get rid of some of all of this stuff and lighten up? As I was doing research, I discovered that Anker now makes a 30-watt charger with flip prongs that fold down, and I had one of these before, but the prongs didn't fold down, so I didn't like it so much because of that. And when I got this one, I was excited to have that option. This one is considerably lighter. The only challenge is it's only got a USB-C port on it. So I said, if I'm going to take this one, then how can I make all my other cables work? I'm going to get an adapter that changes the port on my Garmin watch to a USB-C. I have already found adapters that work for the traditional Lightning to USB-C and original USB to USB-C. I bought them separately, but one of them came with these little toggles, which is nice because they attach to the cable right here. I went with a shorter cable that is only 1 foot long. Hopefully I won't regret that. I'm replacing all of these cables, 3 cables and a heavier charging block, with something that's smaller and much lighter. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment to hit that button down below. It's a great way to kind of share the love, let YouTube know that you enjoy my videos and that other people might like them as well. Looking at my sleep system, as I mentioned, I use a quilt. I have a silk liner that I really love, and I'm not going to change that. I thought about leaving the silk liner at home, but if there are cold nights or even when it's really hot, that has just a lot of versatility to it, so I'm going to go ahead and carry it. But I can switch out my pillow. I have a Trekology pillow that I bought off Amazon maybe a year or so ago, and I really like it because it does have this fabric cover on it, and it feels more like a pillow from home. It's also got a little bit of elastic so that you can attach it to your pad if you want to. And this is nice, but it's a little on the heavy side. So I started thinking about what gear do I have, digging through my old gearbox, and I realized that I've had a Q-Core pillow from Big Agnes, and it's just inflatable. It's considerably lighter than the Trekology pillow, so I think for a couple weeks I can suffer through being slightly less comfortable using this pillow versus the other one. One change that I've made in my clothing, and just like my sleep system, I'm not changing a lot. I'm really dialed in on the clothing that I'm taking, but I do sleep in a beanie, particularly on cold nights. This Columbia beanie has been, my tried and true go-to, but earlier this year I was at Melanzana in Leadville picking up a new Melly, and they had these little beanies, and I thought, well, let me just give that a try. I was starting to have some issues with this one kind of sliding off my head at night. I think it's just maybe stretching out over time. This one's a little bit lighter. It fits real well, and so I'm going to take the lighter one and save the weight between the two. Another technology item is my tripod, and this is the one that I've been carrying for quite a while. I had a similar one that just gave up the ghost, and I replaced it with this one, which I like because the legs are flexible and it was inexpensive. But I realized when I was on the Pinhoti Trail that I was putting it in the side pocket of my pack, and I wasn't pulling it out as often as I wanted to take some shots of, you know, just different things along the trail. And so I started looking around and I found this one. This is the 𝐬𝐵 GorillaPod, the mini one, and it's got the same flexibility in the legs, so that's great. And it's small enough to where I can fold it down. It goes all the way down to this size. It'll fit in a little pocket on my shoulder strap, and then I can pop it out whenever I want to take some video. So the main reason for switching this was not weight, but practicality. However, the difference between these two is, in addition to size, is that this one is a lot lighter. I've made another change for functionality, and this is in my hat. I just normally have like an inexpensive, I think this is a layer 8 ball cap that I got at probably Marshall's or TJ Maxx or something for about $8. It's cheap. If I lose it, I'm not heartbroken. I found that, well, it does have a nice brim, and so when I pull my rain jacket up, it does keep water off my face. I was wearing it when it was really hot and sunny, and with my hair up, I'm getting a lot of sun on my back, which is not healthy. Even, you know, I put a lot of sunscreen on, but still I was finding that I was getting more sun exposure on my back than I wanted to. So I decided to look for another option and maybe just switch to a sun hat. So I chose this one from Outdoor Research. It's very lightweight. It's nice and flexible, so you can actually just kind of roll it up and stick it in a pocket. It's got a chin strap so that when it's windy, it won't blow off, and it gives me that added coverage across the back of my neck. This, in conjunction with my sun shirt, I think will give me a lot more protection from the sun that I'm going to be exposed to on the Tahoe Rim Trail. So there's one more thing that I want to share with you before I tally up and give you the total savings that I've managed to eke out so far. And that is my camp shoes. I have some Xero shoes that I love. However, they are a little bit harder to get into because they have like a heel strap that you got to pull out. So I typically just carry really inexpensive slides. These are from Walmart. I make sure that they do have some grip on the bottom. But what I'm looking for in a camp shoe is something I can put on after I get my tent set up, when I get to camp, to just relax, let my feet air out, let my shoes air out. And then when I need to get up in the middle of the night for whatever reason, I can just slide my feet in, get out of my tent, and not have to fuss around with either my trail runner or some kind of a sandal. And I find that Crocs are kind of big and bulky. They don't squish down very well, and they're sort of on the heavy side, actually, not to mention being kind of pricey. So these were, I think, $10 at Walmart. This is actually my second pair, and they've served me very well. However, I was in the Dollar Tree one day, which is one of my favorite spots to get snacks for backpacking, and they had these on display. They've got a decent grip on them. Same functionality, just slide your feet in and go, right? I was a little concerned, number one, because Dollar Tree is not everything's $1 anymore, and I thought, are these going to be $5? I don't know if it's worth $5 to switch out my camp shoes, but they were only $1.25, literally $1.25, and for a 2-week hike, I'm sure they're going to last, and they're a significant weight savings over the black shoes that I have. So I'll be rocking these lovely things, and something I do like about them, in addition to the weight, is that they just go like this. The other ones don't do that as easily. They're going to be nice and small on my pack. So the advantage of all of this exercise has been that I've been able to shave some weight out of my pack. I have also taken some space out of my pack, which will make room for that big bulky bear canister. And I'm streamlining the number of items that I carry, which of course makes packing and unpacking easier. You spend less time looking for things if there are fewer things to look for. So that's where I'm at right now. I may make a couple more changes in the next couple of weeks. I will be out on the trail soon, and I look forward to bringing you daily videos from the Tahoe Rim Trail, and I hope you'll join me for that, and I will look forward to seeing you here again next time.